Imagine a place where loneliness carries a heavy weight. A place where the nearest neighbor is more than 2,000 kilometers away. In today's video, we will explore 5 of the most isolated islands on the planet. Places where life has adapted to isolation and contact with the outside world is rare. Most people have never even heard of these islands. But before we set sail, I want to hear from you. Which island do you imagine lies furthest from civilization? Tristan da Cunha. Going to the most distant and remarkable community on Earth. Set deep in the South Atlantic Ocean and home to only about 250 people. Far from any major society. This is the island of Tristan da Cunha. Its story began in 1810 when the first settlers reached Tristan, calling it the Island of Refreshment. And the population slowly expanded in the following years with support from the United Kingdom. The island formed a small society and its basic services grew. Everything seemed stable until a volcanic eruption in 1961 forced the entire population to leave and relocate to the UK. Yet the islanders never adapted to the busy pace abroad, and by 1963 they chose to return. At the center of the island stands Queen Mary's Peak, a mountain rising more than 2,000 meters high and commanding attention from every direction. No paved road reaches its top, only trails created by the locals and the steps of freely grazing cattle. When the sky is clear, the volcano looks like a perfect green pyramid crowned with mist. When clouds sink low, it vanishes from sight, wrapped in a quiet that feels unreal. Around the mountain lie open grass fields where islanders raise cows and sheep. Many areas have no fences. The animals wander freely and can appear on footpaths or even near the sea. The beaches are not the type seen in tropical images. There is no golden sand or bright blue water. Instead, there are stone-covered shores, dark volcanic rocks, and waves breaking into white foam. Still, the scenery has its own appeal. On sunny days, residents walk there collecting seaweed or looking toward the horizon as if seeking a distant link to the rest of the world. On clear nights, the moon's reflection turns the waves into something that feels almost otherworldly. In winter, strong winds arrive, rain becomes frequent, and fog can hide everything for long periods. On this island, everyone knows one another. There is no airport, no restaurants, and no paved roads. Yet the community continues to thrive despite the challenges. Traveling to Tristan da Cunha is not as simple as boarding a plane or booking a regular ferry. There are no commercial airports or natural harbors to make arrival easy. The only safe way to reach it is on the Agulhas 2, a ship that leaves from Cape Town only a few times each year. For 7 days, passengers cross the South Atlantic, a region known for sudden storms, huge waves, and winds that feel sharp against the skin. The main town, Edinburgh of the Seven Seas, known as the Settlement, is a small group of wooden and brick houses painted in bright colors to break the gray tones of the weather. There are no paved streets, no traffic signals, and no restaurants. The dominant sounds come from the wind and from huge numbers of seabirds living on the cliffs. Albatrosses, petrels, penguins, and gulls fill the air with calls. The scent of salt, wet ground, and smoke from chimneys is everywhere. Life here is guided not by clocks, but by the tides. The changing weather and fishery. On Tristan da Cunha, women form the quiet center of daily life. From childhood, they learn to be steady, practical, and patient. Many share features reflecting both the European roots of the first settlers and generations of life in the South Atlantic. Some have light or brown hair, skin darkened by the sun, and eyes that can look as green as the sea or as gray as the mist. In relationships, there is little room for appearances. Everyone grows up together, sharing the same paths and the same schoolrooms. Romance begins not with elaborate outings, but with looks exchanged during potato harvest or at local festivals. Marriage is viewed as a commitment meant to support the family name, balance the population, and add needed hands to the community. The island has no banks, no stock exchanges, and no stores filled with goods constantly changing in price. Economic life centers on one resource, the lobster. The process begins with the local cooperative, the Tristan da Cunha Fishing Company, which is not a private business but a shared system owned by the islanders. Every family contributes labor, each boat, each catch, and each day at sea supports the group. The men rotate shifts on the boats. Facing the powerful South Atlantic, every catch is logged and processed at the cooperative plant, where lobster is cooked, frozen, and prepared for the few ships that carry it to markets in South Africa, Japan, and the United States. The yearly cargo ship from Cape Town is another vital part of life. Only once or twice a year does a vessel break the island's isolation, bringing items that cannot be made locally: medicine, fuel, clothes, tools, canned food, and spare parts arrive. Bartering remains a normal part of this small economy. A haircut might be exchanged for eggs, repairing a roof for lobster, or a sack of potatoes for fishing equipment. Money is not essential for daily survival. Practical usefulness and cooperation matter more. Life on the island follows its own steady rhythm, different from the modern world. There is no traffic, no rush, and no screens controlling the hours. Sunrise marks the start of every day. Social ties form through daily routines. In the evenings, families gather. Neighbors talk, share bread, and enjoy a simple drink. Birthdays, new births, and funerals involve everyone because each person is part of the whole. The island has no mayor, no police, and no political groups. Major decisions are made in open meetings where everyone speaks and votes. A rotating administrator represents the island to British authorities. Tasks are divided clearly and no one earns wages. Work is done through volunteer effort, shared responsibility, and the belief that every action supports the community. Free time is uncommon. Some residents focus on carpentry, others make small crafts to offer to rare visitors. Some practice musical instruments or sing in church. Music and faith help lift spirits, ease boredom, and give meaning to long periods of waiting. The ocean around Tristan carries its own mysteries. One story passed down through generations describes a ghost ship. People say that on certain foggy mornings an old sailing vessel can be seen far away, glowing from within and drifting without direction. It has never been photographed, but the tale persists. Some call it an illusion, while others think it might be the spirits of lost sailors seeking rest. You may wonder where the island's electricity comes from. The answer is 4 diesel generators that run throughout the day, providing power to the island. There is also a shared satellite phone line in the settlement. It is used by schedule and managed by the local government. It is only for important calls. Families can contact relatives abroad but must book a time. Each call is limited and recorded to track usage. This is the only supermarket on the island. Looking at the prices, they do not seem very high. 74 pence for butter beans and brine, or tomato onion mix for 69. In fact, some foods cost more in the UK than here on Tristan. The Albatross is the most remote pub on Earth, located inside Prince Philip Hall, and it acts as the island's slow but steady social center. It opens only a few hours each evening to ensure everyone is ready to work the next morning. The special part about the bar is that no cash is used. Every resident has a permanent tab. People drink and the cost is taken from their monthly pay or from their share of lobster income. Trust keeps the system working, and besides, there is nowhere to go if someone wanted to avoid paying. If you enjoy content like this, don't forget to leave a like and press the hype button on your phone. It costs nothing, but it really helps me keep bringing these stories to you. Pitcairn Island. Most people picture life on a tropical island as something magical, with clean sandy beaches, palm trees, warm water, beautiful women, and a life free of worries. However, the truth of island living can be far more ordinary and even harsher than the most negative expectations. For more than 2 centuries, Pitcairn Island has shown the hard realities of life on a small 4.5 square kilometer piece of land in the Pacific Ocean. This island is the state with the smallest population in the world, with only 49 people living there. It was founded by the mutineers from the ship Bounty who escaped from English justice. And after that, the island fell under the control of heavy drinkers and later suffered a terrible genocide. In the end, only 1 man remained alive. Over the years, this small state was led by a long line of dishonest and unstable leaders. And in 2004, it became known as the country with the highest percentage of people with criminal backgrounds and people guilty of crimes against children. Only about 50 people live here. Yet the number of events in its history is surprisingly large. Because of its tiny population and remote location, the government of Pitcairn has tried to attract new residents by offering appealing benefits. New arrivals can enjoy a quiet life, a comfortable climate, and the chance to own land at a very low cost or even for free to build a home. Even so, only 1 person has applied for a visa to live there. It makes you wonder what truly defines a place worth living. Is it peace and quiet? Or are there other things that matter even more? And if it were you, would you consider starting a new life in a place like this? Pitcairn has no airport and no major seaport, which makes travel to and from the island extremely difficult. Its steep landscape and uneven coastline make building an airport nearly impossible. The island has only one main road called Hill of Difficulty. It connects the boat landing with the area where people live, and it is used by all-terrain vehicles or for walking. Reaching Pitcairn is far from simple. Travelers must first fly to Tahiti or Auckland, then take a boat to Mangareva in French Polynesia. From there, they face a 32-hour boat journey to reach the island. This level of isolation makes it one of the hardest places in the world to access, because there is no major port. Supply ships from New Zealand must remain offshore while residents use small boats to unload supplies and bring passengers to land. Everything from canned food and fuel to medical supplies depends on these rare deliveries. In emergencies, getting medical help is extremely difficult. If someone needs specialized treatment, they must wait for a helicopter or boat from another country, which can take several days. However, the residents of Pitcairn have adapted to these harsh conditions by growing their own vegetables, catching fish, and supporting one another as a close community. This isolation not only brings challenges but also protects the natural beauty of Pitcairn, creating a way of life unlike any other place in the world. Unlike many island nations, Pitcairn does not depend on fishing or mass tourism as its main income source. For many years, the island has been supported by a surprising industry: the sale of stamps and coins. Stamps and coins from Pitcairn are highly valued by collectors around the world. The island is also home to one of the smallest post offices in the world, run by one employee who manages all tasks from receiving mail and selling stamps to handling parcels. Because few people send mail, the post office does not open every day but only at set times. Still, it remains an important connection between Pitcairn and the rest of the world. For visitors, a Pitcairn stamp is more than a simple souvenir. It is a physical reminder of one of the most isolated places on Earth. There are no banks, no machines for cash withdrawal, and no electronic payment systems. People mainly use cash, but since cash is limited, barter is also widely used. For instance, someone may trade fresh fish for vegetables or other goods they cannot produce. Without a bank, residents face difficulties when making purchases from abroad. To buy items, they depend on supply ships, and orders must be prepared in advance and paid for through indirect channels. Tourists also face challenges because only cash or prearranged payments through banks in other countries are accepted. Even with these limits, the residents of Pitcairn have adapted and maintain a small but self-sufficient system. This method of exchange not only helps them deal with isolation, but also reinforces their unity as a supportive community. Pitcairn uses a simple government system guided by the community, with only a few dozen people. Every adult plays an important part in keeping the island running. The island is led by a council of 6 elected members and a mayor who oversees general duties. Because the population is so small, each person handles multiple roles. Someone may work for the government while also repairing buildings, guiding visitors, or helping with medical needs. There is no police force, so conflicts or security concerns are managed through cooperation and group decisions. This streamlined structure reduces unnecessary rules and encourages strong community ties. There are no prisons on the island because crime is almost non-existent. With such a small group where everyone knows one another, harmful behavior has little space to develop. Instead of punishment, disagreements are usually settled through discussion and collective decisions. The legal system relies on community agreement. If a serious violation occurs, the person may be sent to New Zealand for trial. Electricity on Pitcairn Island is very limited because there is no large power plant. The island depends mainly on solar energy and diesel generators. Electricity is available only during certain hours and is often turned off at times when it is not needed. This forces people to plan their use of electricity carefully. At night, power may be turned off to save fuel. Many families shape their daily routines around the available power, completing tasks requiring electricity during the day and using natural light whenever possible. Depending on solar power brings challenges, especially during cloudy or stormy days when energy production drops. Diesel generators provide backup, but bringing fuel to the island is difficult and expensive due to long distances. The island has only one school with a single classroom where all children learn together. No matter their age or level, one teacher teaches every subject from math and reading to science and history. This requires wide knowledge and flexibility to help each student. Besides regular subjects, the school focuses on teaching practical skills needed for life on the island. Children learn fishing, farming, harvesting crops, fixing tools, and even building homes, all of which are essential in a place where every skill matters. Because the island lacks higher schools and universities, young people must leave for countries like New Zealand to continue their education when they grow older. There are no hospitals or official clinics. People must care for their own health using simple methods and rely on help from neighbors with medical knowledge. For minor problems, they use medicine from supply shipments or home remedies passed through generations. When someone needs a specialist, they must wait for medical support from outside. Sometimes a doctor from New Zealand or England will visit for general checkups. Because such visits are rare, many cases are treated at home or require long waits. In life-threatening situations, the island can request help by helicopter or ship. One of the most interesting features of Pitcairn Island is its unique language. The residents speak a dialect called Pitcairn, which combines Old English and Tahitian. This language was created by the mutineers from the ship Bounty and the Tahitian women who lived with them. Pitcairn is based on English from the 18th century but includes many Tahitian words and grammar rules. Because the population is so small, Pitcairn is at risk of disappearing. Most people also speak Standard English, but Pitcairn is still used in daily conversations, especially among older residents. Some efforts have been made to save the language, such as creating dictionaries and teaching programs for the young. The Pitcairn Islands are famous for their stories about pirates and hidden treasure. These stories have become a key part of the island's cultural identity and attract the interest of explorers and history fans. The tales began with the earliest settlers from the ship. For many years, rumors have claimed that large amounts of treasure were buried somewhere on the island. Even though many searches have been carried out, no treasure has ever been found. Still, the legends continue to live in the minds of both residents and visitors. If you could search for treasure on Pitcairn, where would you dig first? Drop your theory in the comments. Palmerston Island, situated about 3,200 km northeast of New Zealand, with a population of only 62 people. All the residents of the island come from a single family line. Palmerston was found by Captain James Cook in 1774 and is known today as one of the most isolated communities on Earth. The first permanent resident was William Master, who settled on the island in 1863 with his Polynesian wife and her 2 cousins. After receiving ownership of the island from Queen Victoria, Master also married his wife's cousin, creating a large family group. He had 23 children with his wives before his death in 1899. Today, all residents except 3 are his direct descendants. Life on the island is simple and separated from modern society. There are no stores, banks, or markets. People depend mainly on fishing and small-scale farming to live. Electricity comes from generators and is available for only 6 hours each day. And medical resources are very limited. When someone needs special care, they must be taken to Rarotonga, a trip that may take several days. Drinking water is limited, and the supply comes only from collected rain. Palmerston is part of the Cook Islands in the South Pacific. It is more than 500 kilometers from Rarotonga, the main island of the Cooks, and can be reached only by rare boats since there is no airport. Reaching the island takes days and depends completely on good ocean conditions. Because of this, the island remains very isolated and contact with the outside world is uncommon. Today, Palmerston is guided by a council of elders with 2 representatives from each family. The island manages its own local affairs, and any visitor must first receive special permission from the Cook Islands government. Before that, visitors must send a letter directly to Palmerston to get confirmation that their boat will be accepted. Without this approval, entry is not allowed. There is a unique tradition on the island known as Adopt a Yacht. When a sail appears on the horizon of Palmerston, the visitor should not rush toward the shore. This island follows its own customs. Guests do not choose where to stay, they are assigned. According to the rule of Adopt a Yacht, visitors must anchor at sea and wait. A small boat will arrive from the island, and the family on board will officially adopt the visitors. From that point forward, guests join that family. They will eat in their home, use their limited fresh water for washing, and hear the deep stories of their ancestry. This is not only generosity, it is also a quiet competition. The family branches, all descendants of Master, aim to welcome the most impressive yachts. Visitors bring gifts, unusual foods, and stories from far places. During the stay, the guests become the most valued part of the family routine, and spending time with another family group, such as eating with them, is seen as a small but sensitive mistake. How would you feel about being adopted by a family on a remote island? Would you embrace this tradition or find it uncomfortable? Tell us below. When evening comes, Palmerston reveals its favorite activity: volleyball. There is no stadium or gym, because the main road is the court. There are no cars on the island, so traffic does not exist. The packed sandpath becomes the ground where players of all ages compete with strong energy. The sound of the ball and excited voices fill the coconut groves. It creates an unusual scene of paradise. A place where the biggest concern is not crowded roads or deadlines, but whether a team can defend against a strong serve from the other family branch. The school system is basic. The school on the island has only one principal and 2 teachers who cover math and English for 2 months at a time, after which new teachers rotate in. Let us hear from a girl on the island.
I heard that you have a school here. Yes, it is called Palmerston Lucky School. Okay, and how many kids? There is 9 kids altogether. 9 hits now, but it's okay for 27 people.
St. Helena. Nestled deep in the South Atlantic, St. Helena stands as one of the most remote places on Earth. The small island lies more than 800 kilometers off the west coast of Africa, with no nearby land in sight. St. Helena is the main island of a British overseas territory and is included on the United Nations list of 17 regions still awaiting decolonization. It remains one of several distant territories under the control of the United Kingdom. Before 2017, reaching St. Helena was possible only by sea, a journey lasting between 5 and 7 days across open water. The trip was long, unusual, and unforgettable. When the island's first airport opened, it was given the disappointing title of the world's most useless airport. Strong winds sweeping along the high cliffs made landings difficult for pilots. Yet, over time, with better planning and new procedures, a limited number of commercial flights now connect St. Helena to the outside world just once or twice a week. Most goods still arrive by ship, which travels from Cape Town roughly once a month. What brings this small island global recognition is its connection to Napoleon Bonaparte, the famed French emperor. After his defeat at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, he was banished by European powers to St. Helena, a place considered impossible to escape. Surrounded by thousands of kilometers of ocean, Napoleon lived out his final 6 years here until his death in 1821. The natural world of St. Helena is remarkably unique. Its long isolation in the middle of the ocean has allowed it to develop plant and animal life found nowhere else. The most famous example is Jonathan, the giant tortoise that lives on the grounds of the governor's residence. Born in 1832, Jonathan is now more than 190 years old. He spends his days calmly feeding in the sunlight and remains a living marker of generations long past. He is not only a symbol of St. Helena, but also the oldest known living land animal on record. The people of St. Helena, warmly called saints, give the island its heart. They are friendly, welcoming, and deeply connected to their home. With only a few thousand residents, everyone knows each other, shares greetings in passing, and is willing to chat for a moment. Life here moves gently. There are no car horns, no crowded roads, and no traffic lights. Crime is almost non-existent. It is a place where one can feel safe, relaxed, and surrounded by kindness. Although the lifestyle is simple, it never feels empty. Some spend time by the sea. Others grow vegetables, bake traditional cakes, weave crafts, or share stories with children. Each late afternoon, the women of St. Helena form the steady and caring core of community life. They support their families, protect local traditions, and raise children with patience and warmth. The women here do not need grand gestures to stand out. Their calm strength and sense of unity make them shine. Only a few places on the island offer Wi-Fi, and where it exists, it is slow and costly. Mobile service is also limited and far from fast. St. Helena has its own bank, which issues its own currency, the St. Helena pound. It matches the value of the British pound, and both forms of money are used on the island. Though the St. Helena pound is difficult to spend in the UK, there are no ATMs on the island, so all banking tasks must be done at the bank. St. Helena also has 2 petrol stations and 1 diesel station, and fuel here is among the most expensive you will ever see, which is understandable given the island's isolation. Hidden in the island's volcanic valleys grow green-tipped bourbon Arabica coffee trees. This is not the kind of coffee you pick up in a hurry. At up to $140 per pound, it ranks among the rarest and most valuable coffees in the world. Experts often refer to it as the champagne of coffee. At one point, Starbucks even sought it out as a luxury product. Legend says that during Napoleon's final years on the island, the one comfort he consistently enjoyed was this coffee. His well-known remark, "The only good thing about this accursed island is the coffee," helped turn these small beans into something legendary. Socotra Island. Socotra, the remote island located between Yemen and Somalia, is often called the most alien place on Earth. It remains cut off from the world with its own language and culture, and only about 4,000 visitors reach it each year. Many people have never even heard of this strange and beautiful island. Even though Socotra sits 400 kilometers from mainland Yemen, it is still officially part of the country. With the ongoing civil war, public flights do not operate, leaving only one way to reach the island. Humanitarian aid flights depart from Abu Dhabi twice a week, and the only way to get a seat is by booking through a tour agency. Gone at this, Socotra covers more than 3,600 square kilometers, yet fewer than 60,000 people live there. Most residents stay along the coastline because the land farther inland is dry, windy, and extremely hot. These harsh conditions have helped protect the island's natural landscapes and kept much of it untouched. Few women on Socotra feel comfortable being filmed. Many prefer to keep their faces hidden and wear full coverings. But this woman, lively and confident, welcomed us to her home. She lives near Detwa Lagoon, is a mother of 6, and grew up in a nearby cave. We spent 2 hours with her, sharing stories over tea and freshly popped corn. She talked about life as a woman here, and the changes she has witnessed over 3 decades. After showing us her traditional Socotri dress, she was excited to let me try it on as well. Stories on the island speak of women with mysterious gifts, able to enchant sailors with songs. These tales come more from imagination than fact. Yet they show the lasting sense of wonder held by those who reach these shores. On this island, there is no internet, no cell signal, no Wi-Fi, no digital map guiding your route. The silence is total, almost unsettling at first. You cannot call your family to say you arrived safely. You cannot send a message if something goes wrong. And you cannot reach help if your car stops working on a lonely beach where the ocean feels older than history itself. Could you survive without internet or phone signal for even a week? What would be the hardest part for you? Let me know in the comments. Even when you return to the town of Hadibu, the sense of security is thin. There are no ATMs, and credit cards mean nothing here. The main gas station is a small shack, where fuel is poured into old trucks while drivers talk in the shade. Almost everything in the shops, from vegetables to chargers, arrives by wooden boat from Yemen, Oman, or the UAE. If you want a new phone, you do not order online. You ask someone traveling from the mainland to bring one for you. When trouble happens, your only option is to wait until another vehicle appears on the long, empty roads. Sometimes that takes hours, sometimes the entire day. It reminds you how dependent modern life has become on instant communication and constant connection. Even electricity is fragile on Socotra. Hadibu has the island's only power grid, and it flickers unpredictably like a tired machine. Everywhere else uses generators for a few hours after sunset, creating small pockets of light in the dark. Healthcare is just as limited. Socotra has one small hospital with only a single primary doctor for tens of thousands of people. Anything beyond basic care usually requires a flight to the mainland. During the monsoon season, when flights are delayed or stopped, getting help becomes even more difficult. For many travelers, the toilets are one of the biggest surprises. Most are squat toilets, simple and rough, and toilet paper is seen as a luxury. In many remote campsites, the bathroom is simply a quiet place behind a rock, with the island wind as your only company. You quickly learn what privacy means in this environment, and you gain a new appreciation for indoor plumbing. Fresh water is precious here, almost sacred. Showers are short and cold but refreshing after hours under the intense heat. You begin to value each drop and understand how life on Socotra depends on careful use of limited resources. Meals are basic but meaningful, shaped by the island's environment. If you are staying near the coast, fish will be on your plate. In the mountains, goat is the common choice. These foods are served with rice or flatbread, the staples you will see every day. Fresh fruits and vegetables appear only once in a while, brought by the land or sea when nature allows. The lack of variety may surprise visitors, but eating food taken directly from the island is deeply satisfying. Each meal shows how resourceful the people here are, using what the environment offers to create nourishing dishes, but nothing can fully prepare visitors for the power of the Socotra monsoon. These winds, coming from the Indian Ocean, roar across the island with incredible strength, powerful enough to lift tents and toss them like cloth. At their peak, the monsoon winds break 100 kilometers per hour, reshaping the landscape and setting the pace of life for everyone. During parts of the year, the sea becomes so wild that all shipping stops. Socotra becomes completely cut off, waiting for calmer conditions. For travelers, this isolation feels almost unreal. During the monsoon, you do not just visit Socotra, you are held there, living by the island's natural rhythm rather than your own plans. Growing crops in Socotra is extremely hard because of the dry climate. Rain is unpredictable, and many supplies come by boat from mainland Yemen, Oman, and Abu Dhabi. These are not large ships but small boats bringing whatever they can fit. Taking about a day to cross the sea, Socotra's distance and limited development have helped protect its natural purity. Until recently. The island had no paved roads, and tourism has been kept small and controlled. This isolation has preserved its wild, almost ancient beauty and made it a refuge for anyone seeking something extraordinary. From the storm-battered shores of Tristan da Cunha to the otherworldly landscapes of Socotra, these islands prove that even in the most distant corners of the planet, humanity always finds a way to adapt, to build, and to belong. Each one carries its own story of survival, tradition, and quiet resilience, showing that isolation doesn't mean disconnection, but rather a deeper bond with nature and community. They remind us that life can flourish even where the world seems to end. If you had the chance to live on one of these islands for a year, which one would you choose? And why? Share your answer in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey to the farthest edges of civilization, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It costs nothing, but it means a lot and it helps me keep bringing you more stories from the most extraordinary places on Earth.